Sunset Time by Albino Corn, Chapter 13, Against the Rising Sun. Rarity had lost all sense of time wandering across the sea, constantly heading towards the blue light reaching into the sky. Judging by the yawns he was now producing every other minute, she guessed it was quite early in the morning, yet not early enough to see the dawn breaking over the eastern hills. Oh, I would just kill for a nap right now, Rarity said, stifling another yawn. On her top of her back, Spike stretched out and let a yawn of his own. I know what you mean. I'm exhausted. The two had been meandering around for what felt like forever, navigating their way through a maze that was Lost Pegasus. Even as the blue pillar drew closer, it felt like they were moving at a snail's pace. Exhausted hugged Rarity, covering her entire body and slowing down her movement. She realized she hadn't slept since the horrible outing in the desert almost 24 hours ago. Her weariness reminded her of the state she would find herself in, working on her dresses the night before a deadline. Only this tiredness seemed to run through every bone in her body, if not just her mind and horn. Still, Rarity pressed on. Having enough of the city and Griffins, they were so determined to do away with her. She just wanted to find her friends and leave. She heard Spike yawn again, trying his best to stay vigilant. She admired his fortitude, but it wouldn't hold it against him if he fell asleep. Again, he already proven tonight was much tougher than he looked. Joe exited the main city and entered the strip, the beacon pulsing from the top of the tall pyramid-shaped building. Whoa, Spike said, eyes wide with amazement as the lights shouted around him. Rarity said, Focus, Spike. We aren't here for merrymaking. Besides, you're too young for most of the things that go on in casinos anyway. Or not. Besides, all they do is gamble, right? Well, Rarity was saved for answering his question. When she turned the corner, saw Pinkie Pie hopping up and down on a trampoline, juggling swords while she told a story to the wretched audience in front of her. Sad part is, that doesn't surprise me at all anymore. Yes, said, he's right. Look what I can do, Pinkie said timidly. Rarity approached her, shaking her head in disbelief. Pinkie, I should know by now not to ask this, but what are you doing? A nose twisted out and a rather foul scent began to ascend her nostrils. She jumped back, covered her nose and sighed. Sweet stars above, what is a horrid sense? Oh, that, Pinkie giggled. Funny story. See, one of the mean Griffins chased me into the sewers, and I had to hide in the water to get the jump on him. And afterwards, I climbed back up and found myself here. So I thought, I always wanted to gamble. Spike let out triumphant. Ha! I knew it! So I tried to go to the casino, but he wouldn't let me in because I stole something and I had no money. So I decided to become a street performer to raise the bits. See, here's my act. Rarity read the side of her head, groaning. I knew I shouldn't have asked. Pinkie, she pointed towards the pyramid. Did you not notice the big glowing eye in the sky? Pinkie turned her head. Oh, now that you mention it, that does kind of seem conspicuous. It's like science magic. Exactly. Now put the swords down so we can leave. Right. Pinkie continued to bounce up and down. Small frown marveling her normally happy expression. Actually, I did put inside a towel as I was going to end this. Spike gave her a little stare. You're stuck, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Rarity faced tough again, before igniting her horn and levitating the swords away from Pinkie, placing them gently down on the ground around her. Pinkie somersaulted off the trampoline, landing on her back hose before taking a bow to her applauding audience. Thank you, you've been a wonderful crowd. While he tossed her a sparrow of sighing bits, was Pinkie scooped up and hit her on the mane. As the crowd dispersed, she bounced over to Pinkie and Rarity and Spike, smelling from ear to ear. I like to see. We should come here more often. Rarity gagged the smell wafting off of Pinkie and took a few steps back. First, I'm making Pinkie and never coming back here. And second, Rarity pointed a horn at Pinkie and released a small, large pink cloud that quickly enveloped her. As Pinkie waved the cloud away, Rarity took in a deep breath and sighed in satisfaction. Much better. Pinkie sniffed the air, started to bounce up and down excitedly. Well, I smell like fresh cracked string cars. Spilling across the belly, broke with a hint of lemon. I didn't know you could do that, Rarity. Swanette taught me. Seems me a bundle of perfumes. Spike frantically waved his claws around. Girls, we need to focus. All right. Pinkie made an awesome smile. The big thing. There was a stunned stillness, in which the 4 ponies could only hear their own heartbeats. Skystar thrashing about in his magical prison. Sunset ground her teeth and stomped her good leg in frustration. Why would Vesper Radius just steal Fluttershy away? What purpose could she possibly have? Sunset had only known her a short time, but Fluttershy had been nothing but kind. to know that her life was now hanging in Vesper's hooves, since I could only imagine how the others felt. Wow! Applejack spoke over her voice. Well, I'll take her. How does this happen? Rainbow lost an explanation. I saw Fluttershy being attacked by one of those stupid griffins, and then I got rid of the one that attacked my room. So I flew over and took care of him. Then I brought Fluttershy to an abandoned cemetery to hide. While there, both of the griffins I thought had taken care of came back. So I told Fluttershy to stay there while I handled them. Then I came back, she was gone. And a squirrel told me some evil pony had showed up and taken Fluttershy away. A squirrel told you. Says it kind of eyeing Rainbow skeptically. It was a game of charades, Rainbow snapped. Anyway, I flew off to search for her, and I found Vesper had her unconscious. I tried to tease after him, but I hit the stupid force field that's around the city. Twilight here looked up. There's a force field around the city? Says it followed her gaze. Looking at her sky. She didn't see any obvious signs of magic. But she doubted a Rainbow would make something like that up. She fired a single pulse in the air, while she raced higher and higher. So it narrowed her eyes while it steadily grew smaller, until it collided with something in midair, leaving a brief red flash in its place. A perfectly concealed force field, Sunset murmured, assuming that she was impressed with Vesper's rays' level of magic. You never know it was there until you hit it. When did she put that up? Applejack asked. What's she trying to keep out? Nothing, Sunset said, shaking her head. She's trying to keep us in. I think she wanted us to have a death match with the Griffins, making sure neither side could leave until one was dead. Can you break it? Rainbow asked desperately. Fluttershy's somewhere on the other side of that thing, and we need to find her. Don't worry, Rainbow, Twilight said in a strong, calm voice. We'll find her. And Sunset and I put our magic together. We can smash that shield and track down Vesper. We'll save Fluttershy before anything bad happens. I promise. Then what are you waiting for? Rainbow asked with a new figure. Slow your roll, Sugar Cube. Applejack held up a hoof. We still need to find wares, planks, and spack first. Sunset pointed towards Sky Chart, crouching a starting position, barring his sharp and keen eyes down. And we should probably do something about him first. Applejack took a few slow steps closer to the protective barrier, encasing Sky Chart. Is Lee really Twilight tapped her hose together, twitching ever so slightly. I really, really want to say no, because zombie ponies can't exist, but she gave a nervous gulp. You also get hit, right? Every pony nodded. No matter how long she lived, Sunset knew she would never get the image out of her head. Sky Chart being struck in a flash of angry red, screaming in pain before falling to the distant ground. Even if the initial blast hadn't killed him, the fall almost certainly did. Death was the only way to explain Sky Chart's appearance. Graying feathers, matted fur, dying skin, sunken eyes, and the fact that only the whites were visible. Add to it his newly sharpened teeth and moans and hisses he constantly made. There's very little else that made sense. Well, what else can we do with them? Rainbow asked, but by the creepy dread in her voice, he already knew the answer. Sunset sighed. Only one thing we can do. Put him out of his misery. Applejack gaped down. Are you sure that's the only way? Sass, he's already dead. Can somebody die a second time? Like you said, he's already dead. So technically we aren't killing him. Sunset said with a careless shrug. We're just stopping his corpse. Twilight nibbled on the inside of her lip. I don't know, Sunset. Something about this doesn't feel right. I will try on this one, Applejack needed sagely. We still got some respect for the dead. Or undead in this case. They would fall to the ground. Forgive me for her against a zombie. I don't know, girls. Sunset might be right. I read some comics where the only way to stop a zombie is, cut his head off. Well, silent face of Twilight said, Rainbow, you should know better than to believe a comic book, and even if it were true, I'm not going to maul in as a civilian. Sunset let her horn. Then lower the shield and I'll do it for you, she said with a chill. No! Twilight stamped her hoof. Sunset, how could you say such a thing? Twilight, I admire your moral high ground. I really do. But he's already dead. With a single glare from the Twilight, Sunset immediately powered down her horn and folded her ears. Why did it come over to make it act that way? She opened her mouth to apologize, but the words seemed stuck in her throat. Leaning her head to her chest, Twilight took a deep breath before exhaling and bringing it away. Okay, listen. The only way for something like this to be possible is there be a very powerful enchantment on Skychart's body. If I use my magic, maybe I can find it and undo it. What happens, Lion? Elzek asked. In theory, he should just go back to being, well, dead. But at least if someone could give him a proper burial. Sunset cleared her throat, no longer trying to meet Twilight's eyes. Yeah, that should work. I'll need you to take over the shield, Sunset, so I can focus on the spell. Yes, Twilight, she said formally, bowing her head. Sunset found herself as a fool again, being reprimanded by her princess. Sent both waves of nostalgia and shame burning through her body. She took over the magical dome, the aura changing from violet to teal. When Twilight closed her eyes and scrunched her face in concentration, Sunset gave a quick, meaningful glance to Applejack and Rainbow, a silent order to keep watch. Skyshark continued to ram against the walls of Sunset's shield, making her wince every time. While she was fairly sure her wound had stopped bleeding, she wasn't so sure about the magic she could be exerting at the moment. As grateful as she was about her limited use of magic in scaling the pyramid and dealing with Karo, she was sure she had used too much. Sunset was beginning to question how far she could push herself before succumbing to her physical limit. Meantime, she held fast, not wanting to disappoint Twilight a second time that night. As long as she did her job right, she should fall back to Princess's good favor again. Of course, Sunset knew she would still need to apologize. I'm going to chalk that outburst up to lack of blood going to my brain. Her lying to herself was starting to become a bad habit. Incoming! Sunset's eyes widened and turned her head to the right, nearly avoiding a shot of light. Magic Missile continued onward towards the wall behind her, scouring the crowd. Wide-eyed tourists had begun to congregate again. Turning her gaze down to the block, Sunset's blood ran cold, and she beheld two more shadows shambling up the road. A shivering claw struck her spine as she felt wrongness emanating off of them. It's a feeling akin to one she had put upon Skychart. As the shadow stepped to the light, she knew why. Dirty, mottled fur clung to the dried-out skin. Several stab wounds marred their front, trails of dry blood running down their chests, adding to their savage appearance. Much like Skychart, their pupils were gone, leaving only blank white marbles in their eye sockets. Thriller! Thriller night! You've been fighting for your life inside the get down! My apologies. Both were unicorns. By the lines in their face, Sunset could guess they were both middle-aged. The one on the left was female. Her once orange coat rusted out by death's cold touch, yellow mane disheveled. Sunset identified the male's coat to once be a midnight blue color, with deep red mane, both fading to gray. It was the light pressure at Sunset's heart, and a wave of dizziness washed over her. The spell sputtered in and out for a moment before Sunset caught herself, redoubling her focus. But the sense of vertigo persisted, growing worse as the two unicorns drew closer. An intense hatred burned in her breast, filling her head with thoughts of revenge and suffering. Rainbow and Applejack sprang into action, gobbling up the street to intercept the two new uncomers. Remember, don't let them bite you! Rainbow yelled. Rainbow, you'll need to stop reading those darn comics, Applejack snapped. Sunset looked over to Twilight, who peeked an eye open to watch momentarily, where she went back to probing the magic around Skychart. Sunset hoped Twilight would find something soon. She was beginning to doubt how long she could hold the shield. Another magic blast whizzed over Sunset's head, sensing the very top of her mane. She watched Rainbow swoop around, tackle the female unicorn to the ground, being extra careful to avoid her mouth. Elzek, meanwhile, had taken up her rope again and was trying to truss up the other zombie. Rainbow's paranoia must have had some effect on her, for she was also trying to avoid being bitten. The female unicorn stopped snapping at Rainbow and simply aimed her horn, firing a blast to her side. Rainbow flew off, roughly landing some feet away on the hard pavement. The unicorn got up and continued to advance towards Twilight and Sunset, firing more spells all the while. Sunset created a thin seal to protect herself as darkness crawled along the edge of her vision. She fell to one knee, losing her balance along with her sight. She could feel her magic hold over Skychart's prison rapidly slipping, no matter how hard she tried to hang on. Almost got it! Sunset heard Twilight whispered. At last, it sounded like a whisper. All the city noise had been reduced to a mere buzz. It was like being powered by Carl over again. Only Sunset wasn't sure she was going to have a dark miracle this time around. Desperate to try it, though, Wanting the satisfaction of hitting the horrible mare in the face, she fired one last weak spell, dusted her shield and swallows around Skystar fans. She felt herself hit the ground as her vision went totally black. Knock, knock, knock. Hello. Can I help you? I certainly hope so. Is this the home of Midnight and Morning Glory? Yes, it is. I'm Morning Glory. Do I know you? Such a shame. You really don't recognize me. I'm heartbroken. Honey, who's at the door? Ah! I don't believe it. It's you! See? At least a father bothers to remember his own daughter. Unlike you, Mother. Mother? Then that means you're... Sunset! Sunset, wake up! While the pain ground, Sunset opened her eyes, Twilight's worried face filling her sight. Her horn throbbed, sending ripples of pain to her skull. She spat to her lips, her mouth feeling bone dry, her tongue like sandpaper. So she'd gone back and spent another day in the desert sand. Are you okay? Twilight asked, holding a hoof out to her. Sunset took it and was pulled to her hose, falling back to the same position, and another wave of fatigue hit her. Ugh. She held a hoof to her head, trying to get the world to stop spinning. What happened? I think you overexerted yourself, Twilight said gently. She pointed to a makeshift bandage around Sunset's shoulder. Sunset, how bad is that wound? It's not too bad, but it did bleed a lot. Sunset turned away, cringing in guilt at Twilight's shocked expression. Why didn't you say something? I wouldn't have had you casting magic if I knew how hurt you were. It's fine, really. I don't even think that was the reason I passed out. It was... Twilight leaned forward. It was what? Nothing. Sunset said firmly. It's nothing. You're right. I should have been casting magic. She stood up, trying to get a feel for her legs again. Sunset, what happened to, them? Sunset interrupted. Twilight gave a disgruntled side point to the distance. Sunset followed her hoof and found Applejack and Rainbow, along with, to Sunset's relief, Rarity, Pinky, and Spike, all of them standing next to the unmoving bodies. Taking a few cautious steps, Sunset found there was no feeling of dizziness when she neared the two unicorns. What happened? She asked Twilight again. I broke through the enchantment around Skystar just as you passed out. After that, I just replicated the same spell after Applejack tied each one up. Twilight explained, keeping a concerned eye on Sunset. How long was I out? Not too long, about 10 minutes, really. Rarity, Pinky, and Spike showed up just as we put down the last corpse, Twilight said after a little thought. He approached the rest of the group, entering into what should have been a joyful reunion. Instead, it was submerged under worried frowns and anxious glances. Even Pinky seemed devoid of her usual enthusiasm. I'm glad to see you all right, Sunset, Rarity said with a pained smile, eyes flickering elsewhere. Sunset nodded. You too. Spike kept his eyes on the bodies, like he was waiting for them to get back up again. Wrapped an arm around Twilight's front leg. I can't believe you actually fought us zombie ponies while we were gone. Twilight huffed. Technically, they weren't zombies, just animated corpses. Seriously, is there even a difference? Spike gave a knock of disbelief. Girls, focus! Rainbow yelled, throwing herself into the air. Who cares if they were zombies or not? Flashlight's been full now, and we need to go save her. Now! Applejack stopped the hoof in agreement. Rainbow's right. We got bigger things to be concerned with. Question is, how we're gonna find her? Tracking spells Princess Celestia mentioned, remember? Twilight tapped her horn. As long as Vesper has been using some magic, I should be able to find a trail we can follow. I just need to take down the shield around the city. Why do you keep using the singular vernacular? Sunset asked, raising an inquisitive eyebrow. Because you need to recover, Twilight said matter-of-factly. You've already cast enough spells on that injury. Sunset rolled her eyes. It's not that bad. Really, Twilight. You can't take out the shield on your own. Besides, as long as we pull our magic together, I'll be fine. Sunset, I really don't think... Twilight. Sunset gave a pleading look. I could do this. He held each other's gaze. Sunset looked serious. Twilight aversive. She gave a defeating sigh, hanging her head. All right, Sunset, if you really think you can. Summer light filled Sunset's eyes. She nodded her head, saying with steadfast resolve, I won't let you down, Twilight. I know you won't. Twilight smiled. Now we need to get to... She went to air a few times before sticking her tongue out in disgust, taking a gigantic step backwards. It only took a second for everyone else to follow suit. holding her nose as if finding out the earth to follow it. What in tarnation is that horrible smell? Applejack cried. Don't look at me, Pinky said defensively. Now you made me smell like fresh cut thing. I think now that the spell is gone, the bodies have continued to decay properly, Twilight interrupted in a nasally voice. So we're just gonna leave them here? Spike asked, pinching his nose. Rainbow shrugged, keeping a fair distance. Well, what else are we supposed to do with them? It's out of our hooves now, Sunset said. Continue retreat. There was a silent, albeit reluctant agreement amongst them. He had far more pressing matters to attend to now. As they followed Rainbow backwards, he had first encountered the barrier. The sky above them began to turn pink with the morning light, rising in the east behind them. The stars slowly faded away with the sun peeking up from behind the green hills. Under the shifting pallor of the sky, the air city of Las Pegasus was caught in the absolute calm before the start of a new day. The streets were completely devoid of life, aside from the sleeping drunkards huddled up in their corners. They moved with a quick gait within the hard shadows so the tall buildings that closed around them, fixed in a laconic tenseness, spurred on by a joint drive. Still, just as Sunset was starting to think the lack of conversation was too much to bear, Randy spoke in a soft tone that managed to carry far amongst the city's stillness. Sid, does anyone know who those other two ponies went along with Skyshot? Midnight and Morning Glory, Sunset answered, sullen. Randy gave a curious glance. Do you know them? No, but... Sunset stopped, her skin crawling at the concept that formed in her mind. I think those were Vesper Reigns' parents. Everyone stopped to give Sunset a horrifying expression. Elzak in particular looking sick. So they did that to her own clan. Let's... She pulled her hand over her face, sticking her head disgust. I didn't think I could hold this miscontent for a pony. Wait, Twilight held up a hoof. What makes you think they were her parents? Sunset didn't have an immediate answer. She started walking, trying to find something to change the subject. It's just a feeling I have, she said adversely. What kind of feeling? Pinky asked, her voice still lacking its usually tear. Is it like a Pinky said feeling? Sure. Well, Sunset knew Twilight didn't buy it, and at least stopped more questions from coming her way. Continued along the sidewalk, still moving in a western direction. Sunset wondered just how large the circumference of the shield was. Looking up, she watched Rainbow put holding her hose in front of her, blindly feeling the air. It's around here somewhere, I think. She tapped her hoof out a few times, inching forward before repeating the process. Pinky was the first one to run into it, too focused on Rainbow's antics to look where she was going. Her face pressed against the pseudoglass surface, the red outline visible for all to see. The barrier beyond that was a straight street that ran right into the city docks. Just past that, a light fog failed to the city's open ocean. Spike in the airplanes gave Twilight and Sunset a wide berth as the two stepped closer to the wall of energy. He stood side by side, horns softly glowing with power. Are you ready? Twilight asked, still sounding apprehensive. Sunset gave a firm nod. Yeah. Let's do this. For Fluttershy! Twilight's look of unease melted away, replaced by a strong look of conviction. Together, they lowered their horns and fired their respective beams of magenta and teal. The two threads of light burst forward and converged on a single point, harmonizing into a pure white ray that continued forth and clashed with the force field. So as they could feel the strength of the barrier trying to resist and repel them, she bared her teeth in concentration, refusing to lose the Vesper's hard power. Come on, magic, don't fail me now. Just a little bit more, Sunset! She heard Twilight yell over the hum of their combined energy. Happy to oblige, Sunset poured matter magic into her attack. The radiant stream going brighter. The noise could be heard over the thrum of energy. Faint at first, but quickly growing in volume. At first, Sunset thought it was the shield cracking. As soon as she could hear it much more closely, the sound made her heart jolt. It was a sinister giggling.